All right, Nikkei fans, it's been a long time coming, but here it is. Chapter 19 through 20, the full reaction. We got a whole hour, so go ahead and strap in, hit the like button, and subscribe for more. Let's go.
The
I'm
arc
gonna be
has a
eating
deep
during this.
history and countless stories buried by the sands of time.
We got chicken
Many
tenders
secrets
and
lay
french
hidden
fries.
within humanity's final safe haven, and just like before, the commander sets out once more to uncover the truth.
Okay,
We begin
truth.
this chapter with Counters and the commander moving towards the research facility Snow White had guided them to. So far, things are looking good. They have enough supplies to reach their destination. However, this is NIKKE we're playing, so you all know far too well that this blissful lull of our
Something
group
bad is
will
gonna
soon be
happen.
disturbed.
Of course.
While the commando unit are in high spirits, bantering with one another, Rappy suddenly stops in her tracks. She calls out to the vacant expanse behind them, advising whoever had been tailing Counters to reveal themselves. Rappy doesn't give the unwanted guest any chances, giving a countdown to show themselves. With a defeated sigh, Papillon comes out of hiding.
Who?
This is Chief Burningham's one and only NIKKE, a NIKKE he had ordered to tail the commando unit during their operation. Papillon is pleased that Anise recognizes her,
caught.
always seeing her trailing behind Chief Burningham. The commander asks why she is following them, to which she responds saying that she's there to lend a helping hand. Even with this response, the commando unit still remains on edge.
You know, I will say, the chief definitely has good taste, because, yeah!
Rappy questions Papillon as to her true reasons for following them, inquiring if it's to uncover any further information regarding Marion. While she does admit to wanting information, Papillon also ponders on what further benefits the Counters can provide her besides that info. Papillon proposes a quid pro quo type of relationship between herself and the Counters.
Okay.
She hints at how the commander and the Counters may be able to receive some top secret information about a certain deputy chief in the process. To entice this deal, Papillon discloses some additional information. It is widely believed in the Ark that there are 0 survivors on the rapture-infested surface. This notion, however, is one giant lie. There is, in fact, a lost utopia where humans have gathered and are
Really?
living quite comfortably. Papillon states
No
that the
shot.
higher-ups of the Ark have known about these locations for a very long time.
So there's more than
Though
one.
the group is silenced by this revelation, Neon chalks it up to being a place similar to the amusement park featured in NIKKE's first event, No Caller ID. The commander then presses Papillon further, asking her why the commando unit should trust the information that she just told them.
I wouldn't trust
Papillon's
anybody.
rebuttal is the fact that she can give confirmation to her claims. With this fickle form of reassurance, Papillon joins the group with Counters devising code words to avoid revealing the credentials of their mission to her. As they press onward, conversing through code words, the team closes in on their target location. Papillon, evidently, is irritated with the secrecy Counters is using around her. However, Anise states that it's necessary. Security is of the utmost importance on this
Who are
mission.
you?
Papillon tries once more to get information out of the Counters. This time, she suggests a one question, one answer type of scenario.
Okay.
She asks the group what they're looking for. What is the sewage the Counters are seeking out? Neon simply replies that it's where sewer water flows from. Anise is the one who gives a more viable answer. She tells her it's a place where heretics are created. However, when Papillon asks if this is true, Anise simply says no and gives her another bogus answer. Papillon,
Good work,
irritated with the
Anise.
Counters' antics, asks why they're not curious about the information that she possesses. She asks if the knowledge of an entire area existing on the surface doesn't pique their interest.
I mean, it was cool.
The commander is indeed interested, affirming Papillon's suspicions. She is scraping for anything at this point, and practically desperately asking the Counters to give her any crumb of information that she can go off of.
No.
The commander retorts,
Bad idea.
saying he can't tell Papillon anything due to the fact that Burningham would only take it away from them. All their hard work would be for naught in the end if he revealed this information now. Papillon, of course, says that Chief Burningham finding out wouldn't be all that bad, and it would be for the Ark's benefit, for humanity's benefit.
Bro, I feel like nobody in the Ark cares about the Ark. They just pretend that they do. They're virtue signaling.
Though on a surface glance, this statement may be true, our time in this story has made it apparent that the Ark has a dark side hidden to the public.
100%.
With this brief back and forth, Counters and Papillon reach a research facility. Upon approaching the establishment, something feels eerily off. The security system seems to be disabled, and as the group makes their way in, things appear to be going a little too smoothly. With the group inside the facility, Counters drops a Cold War talk with Papillon. There's no sense if she's already within the facility alongside them. The group then begins to search for any remnants of Vophaus. Following the brief information that Snow White had given them, they make it to the floor of the facility, a place that they suspect to find cartridge cases. Papillon asks if they're looking for Vophaus, and Neon Neon, says yes without giving it a second thought. While examining the facility, Papillon soon stumbles across old research notes, and this, with the context of Red Ash, is a crucial piece of information. The research paper outlines a test subject, 1RHX, who is a blood type holder. Tests were conducted and a unique substance was extracted from the subject's blood. Injecting said substance into the Herrick Anachiro resulted in the complete eradication of all nanosubstances in the subject's body. This substance has been deemed as Vophaus. For those of you wondering, yes, this test subject was the legendary commander of the Goddess unit, meaning the cliffhanger ending we got from Red Ash has at least one question answered. He lived past the point of his meeting inside of the Ark, and even though Lilywise may have passed, he still led the remainder of Goddess till his death or disappearance. This document also confirms that there are more than one heretic roaming the surface. Although Counters thought Marion was the only heretic in modern day, Papillon insinuates that that isn't the case, however, refuses to divulge any further information. The commander keeps reading the data on the report and finds the location of the cartridge that they're after. Knowing the building's location and roughly how to navigate towards it, the group sets forth to achieve their objective and retrieve more samples of Vophaus. Within Building 9, the group finds a big freezer which has the cartridge cases within it. Surprisingly, of the 12 slots, only one still contained a full flask, the rest remained empty. Papillon surmises that they were beaten to the punch, but the only question is, who had beaten them there? We know Snow White had one piece of Vophaus that she'd given to the commander, but for all of them to be missing is grounds for suspicion. Upon this discovery, the room falls silent, and the Counters feel that something is incredibly off. The security system being down, the missing flasks, the ease the group made it into this facility, things were not adding up. Rappy says that she's not detecting any heat sources from the Raptures. However, Anise has a more sinister thought. She asks what if the enemy this time isn't the Raptures. Anise then shifts the blame to Papillon, saying that she could have double-crossed them. And as Papillon forms a rebuttal, there's a sudden noise that sounds out as the wall behind the group shatters. From behind the rubble, they hear a male voice shout out, commanding 3 mysterious Nikkes to subdue the Counters.
Isabel, cover the commander.
Be good and hold still.
Haran, tie up the Nikkes.
Crows, attack.
Noah, block all escape routes.
My favorite.
It is here that we are introduced to Johann, a commander accompanied by 3 pilgrims, Isabel, Haran, and Noah. Johann states that he is going to ask the commander a few questions, and if the commander wants to live, he is to give Johann a proper answer. Johann asks who the commander is. The commander falls silent, only to be met with Isabel's gun. He replies that he's a commander from the Ark. Johann pulls a flask of Vophaus from his coat and states that the commander could have just stayed safe underground. He then asks why a commander from the Ark would seek out Vophaus, an item used to kill heretics. The commander's answer is to liberate Nikkes. For once, Johann is puzzled by the commander's answer. However, Isabel explains what the commander exactly means. The commander wants to use Vophaus to destroy the nymph in a Nikke's body, thus liberating them from this endless cycle of resurrection. Johann's last question is the most important, the liberation of Nikkes, or reclaiming the surface. The commander responds with saying the liberation of Nikkes, and with this, Johann tells him that he may die now. He grabs the commander by the neck and hurls him towards a hole in the wall with superhuman strength. The counters scramble to help the commander but are stopped by Noah. As Johan watches the commander plummet, he tosses a flare out the window, leaving the rest of counters to the Raptures. With this, Johan turns back to his squad, saying they're heading back to a place called Eden. Slowly coming to, the commander awakens to Haran, who is looming over him. She asks if he's okay, and apologizes for the rough time she'd given the commando unit back in the research institute. She regards that they've met before, but this time, he's in her neck of the woods. This also, interestingly enough, confirms that all the NIKKE Bond stories are canon. This previous meeting referring back to our journey with Haran on the surface in her Bond story.
That's the first.
Haran properly introduces herself as a pilgrim serving Eden, a sanctuary on the surface. The commander, rightfully so, is a bit confused, asking Haran why she saved him. Haran's response is simple. It was simply because she felt like it. The commander is puzzled by this reply, and rebuttals that Johan wanted him dead. Although her commander wanted to kill him, she wanted to save the commander, so she simply did just that. According to Haran, their squad tries their best to not involve themselves into others' affairs. That's their one rule. So long as they're willing to face the consequences, they are free to do as they wish. The commander regards how that is a stark contrast to the Ark, which Haran takes as a compliment. Haran takes a jab at the Ark, saying that if they followed Haran's set of rules, things would be peaceful there, much like the paradise that she is from now. The commander inquires about this paradise, and Haran states that he will be shocked when he sees how things are run in Eden. It's vastly different from the Ark, a place where humans and NIKKEs can coexist. Haran then offers to take the commander to Eden, and with the commander agreeing, knowing his chances of survival are slim, Haran begins her journey back, telling the commander to try to keep up. As they venture on the surface, the commander is under Haran's care. When encountering Raptures, she advises him to go into hiding. The commander remarks how strong Haran is, and taking the compliment, Haran replies that she has to be strong in order to survive on the surface. She also remarks that Johan is as strong as she is. She then discloses a bit about Johan's past, that he too was once a weak human like the commander, but over time, he swapped his broken bones and tattered skin for mechanical parts. Haran also stated that Johan had saved her in a way. Prior to meeting him, Haran believed that all humans were doomed to be prey for all eternity. However, thanks to Johan, she came to view that statement differently. The commander asks why Johan was going through all that trouble, and Haran's response is quite simple. He is obsessed with reclaiming the surface, so obsessed that the thought has consumed him entirely. Johan's viewpoint on the Ark is very valid here as well. To Johan, the surface will never be reclaimed if left to the cowardly bureaucrats of the Ark. Johan wants to reclaim the surface for humanity, no matter what the cost may be. Haran then poses a situational question to the commander. Even with Fophouse, would the commander still liberate NIKKEs? And if he did, what would his course of action be should a heretic survive and threaten the surface he recaptured? The commander answers that he would do all he could, including putting his life on the line. This answer, however, seems to disappoint Haran. The location they arrive to next seems to be a desolate wasteland. Evidently, Haran intends to test the commander here. She states that during their journey, she tried to figure out the commander, but words alone weren't enough. Giving one's life to a cause is something that cannot be proven by words alone, so she wants to test the commander's resolve. Haran states people reveal who they really are when faced with death. With that, they hear a rapture in the distance, a prime candidate Haran will use in this test of will with the commander. When the rapture is defeated, Haran tells the commander he passed the first test. However, that praise is short-lived. Haran sprays particles from her hand which seep into the sand, bringing the fallen rapture back to life. Haran states that this may be a little too much and sends her crow into the air, dropping spores onto the rapture, slowing its movements. It appears the rapture is malfunctioning, which Haran remarks would be easier for the commander to handle. Also, yes, we just saw NIKKE revive and suppress a rapture, a power that could come in handy in the near future. The commander's next test is to take out the raptures. Haran mocks that humans can't even defend themselves against them, even when they're on the brink of death. Haran wants the commander to prove his resolve through sheer actions, and, graciously, she also left items in the pit that the commander can use to assist him.
Oh, thank you.
With this, Haran leaves the pit as the raptors rush the commander. His second test had started,
Wow,
and as the commander battles the raptors, Haran remains bored and unimpressed. She remarks how she would rather watch paint dry than see this pathetic display.
Well, damn.
4 long hours have passed, and she tells the commander to either kill the raptors or die. Haran can't bear to watch his pathetic display anymore, and decides to leave the scene to fetch more essence. 5 grueling hours later, Haran returns, surprised that the commander is still alive. Haran has brewed a soup for 2 people as she awaits for the final result of the battle,
Man, it's been
anticipating
fighting
the
for 9
commander to
hours.
survive. At high noon, Haran had finally had enough of the stalemate. Descending into the battlefield with her sight, she easily dispatches both raptors, disappointed that the commander hadn't killed them himself. As she approaches the commander, ready to end his pathetic existence, she stops dead in her tracks. She lowers her weapon, stating that the commander had passed. The poor, exhausted man had passed out while standing up. Even until the bitter end, his resolve didn't waver, and to Haran, that's more than enough to spare his life this time. Once more, with
Such
blurry
a
vision,
strange test,
the
man.
commander is greeted by Haran. She is holding the commander when he comes
Strange
to,
test.
and congratulates him for passing the test. She then informs him that she took care of the raptors. From this point onward, the commander is on his own. Haran points the commander in the direction of Eden, and asks if the commander is up for his final challenge. Agreeing to this final task, Haran states someone will be waiting for him once he arrives. Without elaborating any further, the commander is urged to go by Haran, beginning the final trek of his journey to paradise. The commander continues onward, walking through what feels like an endless wasteland. From afar, Haran's crow keeps a watchful eye over him as he navigates past wandering raptors. Finally, after what seems like an eternity, the commander stumbles across a paradise amidst the war-torn surface. With a smiling face, an angelic voice greets him, welcoming him to Eden. With the commander meeting face to face with this pink-haired woman, the scene slowly begins to fade out. We are then met with Johan and our
Let's go ahead and take a pause real quick and talk about that real quick. Yeah, honestly, I don't get why so many people are like trying to destroy the commander. Like, of course, at the end of the day, everybody has their own vices and everybody is trying to figure out their own way in this messed up, chaotic world that they lived in. But it's like this guy's over here doing a lot for a lot of people, and it's not enough to hear the word, which is understandable. And they want to see some action. But to have this man fight for 8 hours against 2 raptors as a human, and you know he's a human, you know he's weak, and you still threw him into that. Like, bro, that's absolutely insane, babe. But good props on the commander for sticking sticking to his resolve. That's a tough man right there. All right, let's continue.
are introduced to Cecil. Johan
Cecil.
informs Cecil that they have retrieved Unchained. Cecil's response is it's about time that he'd gotten it to her, stating how she expected someone as skilled as Johan to be more expedient with this mission. Johan hands the Vophouse off to Cecil, who confirms his authenticity. He asks if it'll be enough to take down Nihilister, and Cecil's reply is that all of that depends on Johan's actions.
Yeah.
If Johan can tag her with one shot, then it'll be more than enough. Johan also informs Cecil that he met a commander from the Ark at the Research Institute. He also tells her how the commander's plan was to utilize Vophouse to liberate NIKKEs. Cecil then asks Johan what he did with the commander, and he informs Cecil of his actions. Surprisingly, she simply states that sounds like something Johan would do. Cecil remarks how the commander would see how important Nymph is after witnessing the NIKKEs of Eden, all except for Dorothy, who Cecil seems to despise.
Not least of all
Bro,
Dorothy.
Cecil is
She is
something else.
the bane of my existence. She's always up to no good.
The bane
Worst of
my
all,
existence, huh?
she has the ear of all the other NIKKEs. Have you heard of her latest escapade? She brought outsiders to Eden without so much as a word to me.
Cecil is willing to bet the 5 uninvited guests are the aforementioned commander and his Nikkes. Cecil also advises Johan that they should both wait to see exactly what Dorothy is planning. Recounting the commander's arrival to Eden, Dorothy tells him to consider her a guide. She calls the commander by his name, and when asking how she knows this information, Dorothy explains how anyone who can pass Haran's test is seen as someone who can bring great change to the surface. The commander informs Dorothy that he has no plan to stay in Eden long term, but Dorothy tells him to relax. No one is going to force him into any major missions without his consent. Dorothy begins to give a tour of Eden's grounds, and Eden, to say the least,
amazing.
is nothing short of exceptional. Eden is
Bro, like the crazy part is it's outside. Like what is their rap? I mean they got pilgrims, so sure that's the Rapture Defense Force, but it's still like, bro, they're outside.
Eden,
That's
to
crazy.
say the least, is nothing short
impressive.
of exceptional.
That's
Eden is
exceptional.
remarkable, able to replicate how the surface looked prior to the Rapture invasion.
It's
Eden is
wild.
also equipped with a full-fledged garden, which she shows off to the
Garden
commander
of Eden.
first. Picking a
Oh,
golden
boy.
apple, she hands it to the commander,
Oh, don't
offering
eat
him
it.
to try some.
Don't eat
Just
it.
like Adam and Eve, Dorothy is seducing the commander with the sweet temptation of
Don't
residing
do
in
it.
Eden.
Don't
She
do
asks
it.
the commander what he thinks of the apple, and
Nah.
upon hearing his response,
It's
Dorothy
aight.
smugly replies how he won't find that flavor inside of the Ark. She then offers the commander to indulge in as much as he wants.
What other flavors
As the
can
tour
we find?
continues, Dorothy shows the commander the Central Research Facility next. She also informs him that Cecil had created the pilgrims that he'd met before, Haran, Noah, and Isabel. She also says how Eden is 50 years ahead of the Ark in technological advancements.
Well, damn.
Yes, a small settlement on the surface is more advanced
That's
than
crazy.
the entire combined might of the Ark. It was also Cecil who designed the entirety of Eden and the optical camouflage that envelops the entire base.
Optical
This making
camouflage,
Eden able to
okay.
stay undetected on the surface from any wandering raptures. Even the simulation room Eden has far outclasses the Ark. They're capable to train more effectively here and harness their abilities more.
That's crazy.
Dorothy states that being strong for both humans and Nikkes are necessary to survive here, and by doing that, Eden avoids becoming like the Ark, a place, according to Dorothy, where the few are exploited by the many. For those of you that have played through
Hey, that's
Overzone,
real.
this is a direct callback to being locked out by the Ark when Goddess's mission was completed. Dorothy sees Paradise as a place where there is an even balance of power. Nikkes and humans can live in perfect harmony. However, Dorothy knows that everyone has their own view of what is considered just.
True.
As the tour ends, Dorothy asks the commander what he thought of Eden, to which he replies that it is
it's
exactly as he
alright.
imagined it. According to Dorothy, this place is a utopia. Dorothy tells the commander that she believes he is the key to overcoming the crisis that befalls Eden. When inquiring what she exactly means by this, Dorothy replies, stating this crisis involves the heretics. Because the commander had defeated Modernia, Dorothy feels that he can do the same against the heretic that they're currently facing.
Okay.
The heretic they're fighting is a member of the Queen's vanguard.
Yeah.
Within this heretic, hatred for humanity burns deep, and she has her sights set on Eden. The heretic is codenamed Nihilister, and they've had 5 previous encounters with her, with every confrontation ending in a stalemate.
Huh.
Dorothy feels that now that they have secured Vophaus, they have a greater chance than before, but they cannot allow Eden's entire destiny to rest solely on a single bullet. Dorothy states that,
True.
according to one of her old friends, the commander is sort of a miracle worker and has done what others deemed impossible several times over. Dorothy hopes that the commander will be able to lend them some of that expertise, and in return, they can promise him anything. She knows that he wants Vophaus, and Dorothy tells the commander they can give it to him. The commander, silent, then asks Johan if he agreed to any of this. Dorothy tells him that Johan doesn't know about it yet, but not to worry. She will be able to pursue him. His rebuttal is simple. The commander has one condition, one regarding his squad mates. He wants to ensure they are safe.
Yeah.
Dorothy already had this accounted for, and the counters, to the commander's surprise, had already found their way to Eden. The counters and Papillon are relieved to reunite with the commander once again. The commander is shocked, asking how
So
they
they were
got
in
to
Eden?
Eden. Just like him,
They
all of the
walked.
counters were also tested, and
Oh.
evidently, Everyone passed. Papillon raised a good point, that the members of Eden only want those who can prove themselves. It is also revealed that the counters are not aware of Dorothy's plan, and the commander asks what they think of it. Though they're skeptical, this is their only chance to get their hands on Vophouse. Anise also states that, knowing the commander, she is sure he doesn't want to take on all of Eden. Papillon chimes in and says if they do accept their proposal, they will be aligning themselves with the psychopath Johann. After a bit of deliberation, the group decides to accept Dorothy's offer, and when she reunites with them, Dorothy is pleased to hear this. Dorothy states that the operation to exterminate the heretic will take place tomorrow. She also informs the group that she has succeeded in getting Cecil on board, and smugly adds that if Cecil agrees to something, Johann surely is to agree with it as well. Dorothy hands the commander a loaded handgun, the first bullet in the chamber being Vophouse. This is a token of trust and goodwill, according to Dorothy. With the commander and Vophouse as their ace in the hole, Dorothy feels that victory, for once, is within their reach. Chapter 20 begins with Cecil initiating the joint operation between Counters and Inherit, all under the shared goal of defeating Nihilister. Cecil, during this mission, will act as the group's operator, scanning and purifying the area of alpha particles. Using past data on Inherit's encounter with Nihilister, Cecil is able to track her current position. Sending the information to both Johann and the commander, Cecil warns the group that Nihilister will be taking to the skies and moving fast, so they can't waste any time tracking her. The commander is shocked to hear that Nihilister can fly without the aid of any artificial suits or augmentations, and Cecil reinforces this fact by stating that Nihilister's nickname is Fire Dragon. While in flight, she resembles a creature of legend, spitting scorching flames and incinerating the earth beneath her.
Hey, yo, bro, his team is melting the boss, bro. Look at that health bar just drop.
Evidently, Inherit and Johann are not too pleased working with the commander, Counters, and Papillon. Isabelle voices her disgust with the group, stating how pathetic they are, asking Johann if he's really okay working with this subpar scum from the Ark. Though Dorothy had been creating a scheme of her own, to both Cecil and Johann, it doesn't matter so long as Nihilister is killed. Johann answers Isabelle's question with a stern no, and concludes that they'll be proceeding as if it were an individual operation. Despite inheriting Johann's rough exterior, Dorothy still tries to comfort the commander. Even though they're not very cordial, they are the best squad to accompany them to take down Nihilister. Crossing paths with the Raptors while tracking, Counters witness firsthand the flawless nature of Johann's actions as a commander. Like a true tactician, Johann gives out orders to eradicate the Raptors before they even know what hit them. They're swift and coordinated, on a level far superior than the Counters. At this point, it's as if Counters doesn't even need to be there. What is their purpose on this mission? Cannon fodder? Anise questions the veracity of the mission and their involvement, and once more, Dorothy tries to interject with damage control, stating that they're needed to help take down Nihilister. She urges everyone to cooperate, only to be met with a stern no from Johann. He expresses his distaste in bringing in the clowns to this operation. To Johann, Counter's goal is simple: to find and secure Vophouse. While the commander tells Johann that he refuses to use Vophouse, Johann's rebuttal is quite simple. The commander is intentionally sabotaging the operation. With tensions high, Cecil breaks in, informing the group that Nihilister is on the move again, and if she gets any further, they won't be able to track her. Cecil tells Johann that they will settle this dispute later. Reluctantly, Johann, under Cecil's orders, proceeds forward with the Counters and Inherit. While trekking onward, Johann orders the group to stop. Before the group lay a flaming crater. While Anise and Neon are in awe of the sheer power that must have gone into scorching the rock to molten mush, Rappy suggests this is probably a warning. Nihilister knows that she's being tracked, and this is a little calling card, one to keep the group away from her. Seeing this sudden shift in their tracking, Dorothy suggests that they discuss the operation further. Knowing Cecil, even without appearing, can still hear their conversation, Johann briefly dials in, asking to be excused for a moment. When communication is cut by Johann to Cecil, he can finally speak his mind to the commander's actions thus far. Johann tells the commander to head back, abandon the mission, and allow Johann and Inherit to finish it alone. When confronted on the veracity of this choice, Johann's reply is simple: the commander lacks the conviction to complete a mission like this. Him being there will only bring the rest of the group down. The commander retorts, stating that, even though he won't use Vophouse, he never said that he wouldn't fight. To Johan, rightfully so, this is simply abysmal. The commander possesses the ability to take down Nihilister in a single shot, and yet, he'll choose an alternative way. One filled with a higher possibility of damage or death befalling the group. In the heat of the argument, a rapture fastly approaches the commander and Johan. While counters are ready to engage, Johan simply flings a rapture, flying it overhead and causing it to explode.
Bro, this guy is not fair. Like, bro, he is fighting raptures one-on-one with his bare hands, bro. Like, bro, this is not fair, bro. We need these cybernetics.
As if swatting away a bug,
That's
Johan
crazy.
had dispatched a rapture with a display of superhuman strength.
That's crazy,
As if
bro.
it were nothing but a mere nuance,
Wow.
Johan regains his train of thought and continues
Bro.
voicing his distaste for the commander's actions.
Okay.
He continues his verbal assault on the reasoning behind him telling the commander to leave this operation. Though the commander agrees that they don't belong here, he meets Johan's speech with one of his own. To the commander, if one difficult fight means sparing one more life, then it's worth a shot. Johan is rendered
Okay.
speechless at this
That's
comment.
some,
The commander continues,
I ain't gonna lie, that's talking big game, bro. He like our commander is taking like the highest moral ground possible. Bro talking about, hey, one fight save one life. Hey, that's all that matter. Like, hey, that's some real shit.
stating that he won't allow Johan to
Okay.
convince him otherwise.
That's crazy.
Breaking their small squabble, Dorothy states how they don't have time to be going back and forth like this, to which Johan agrees, stating that they'll soon re-establish connection with Cecil. The commander's answer to Johan is a respectable one. He has resolve that
It's
is not
real.
easily bent,
Yeah,
yet
it's
Johan wants to
real.
see how far the commander is willing
Let's
to
see
go.
how far he'll go.
Johan questions what the commander can bring to the table to turn the tides against Nihilister.
Let's see it.
Although the commander knows he can't do much without his NIKKEs, his response is that his skills lie with being a commander. While the commander may talk the talk, Johan wants to see if he can actually back up his words with actions. If the commander can, as Johan states, he'll hand him over to Nihilister himself.
Wow.
To further test the commander, once they move to a new
What a
location,
bitch.
he begins a test of wits. A test to determine if the commander has what it takes to actually lead his NIKKEs in the battle they'll face ahead. Johan poses a hypothetical battle, and the commander must respond by giving the details on how he would direct his team to react and attack. As counters watch from afar, Johan continues to assault the commander with 100 hypotheticals, not missing an instance where he could correct the commander's lapse in judgment. As a series of tests end, Johan tells the commander his results: 91 failures, 6 draws, and 3 wins.
Hey,
A less
let's
than
go.
pathetic outcome, according to Johan. Dorothy retorts Johan's statement regarding the commander's results. Though it was a low percentage, the commander got 3 of those wins back-to-back consecutively near the end of the trials.
Damn right. we
This
learned
doesn't
that.
only
We
display
got it.
improvement, but the commander's ability to adapt to Johan's onslaught of scenarios.
Yup.
Both Papillon and the counters are also upset with Johan's treatment of their commander. They all collectively lash out against Johan, stating how the commander is an up-and-coming star in the arc, and how everyone respects him, even the big 3. To them, he should
Bro, Johan is not gonna care, bro. The big 3, what's that gotta do with me, bro? Like, Johan is, I ain't gonna lie, like, even though I don't like him, he talk mad game, he talk mad shit, but hey, Johan about that action. Like, he just threw an arc. He just threw a rapture. Like, I ain't gonna lie, that he on a whole nother league. So of course he talking that big game. He got big shoes to fill.
be respected due to his achievements, and his reputation should be enough for Johan to place his faith within the counters
No,
and the
Not
commander.
in Eden.
To this, the
Our
group
coup?
falls silent.
You crazy.
Johan,
No.
who was only a moment ago lambasting the commanders, says nothing. Isabel is the one to interject, stating how the counters had really done it now. Johan, according to Isabel, despises the Ark and anything
Exactly.
to do with it.
Why would he
Johan
care?
then notifies his squad that he will need a moment alone, and leaves in a hurry. Feeling a sense of remorse, Papillon apologizes for making things worse. With an awkward silence filling the air, Dorothy takes the mantle, stating that she can salvage this mishap between the two groups. She just needs to talk with him. With this, Dorothy makes her way over to Johan, leaving the group alone together. But if you thought Dorothy was going to mend broken ties,
Doubt it.
well, let's just say her plans are more insidious than simply doing just that.
They could be the perfect shield.
What?
This is all you have to do. We draw Nihilister to us by releasing a signal. Given how aggressive she has been in the past, this shouldn't be too difficult. Then we send the counters out under the pretext of conducting surveillance, and have them encounter her first. No matter how hard they hit her, she'll just keep recovering. Eventually, they'll realize they have no choice but to use Vapaus if they want to make it out alive. Once that infernal commander no longer has any compunction about using Vapaus, that's when we move in. Not only will we defeat Nihilister, but if the counters manage to survive, they'll consider us their saviors.
So that's it.
And like honestly, I'm not surprised she had this idea and this type of insidiousness because for one, I mean, let's keep it real. For one, she might not even really be saying this. She might be saying this to play Johan. But for two, like saying anything else to Johan wasn't going to work anyway. So you might as well try and say, oh, we're going to use them to our advantage because that like Johan is the type of person that only care about statistics. All he cares about is numbers, right? That's why he gave the commander 100 options and just like was like wrong. You only got 3 right. So like, yeah, if you say a plan like this, like statistically speaking, oh, makes sense. Sounds like a good idea. So yeah, I would not be surprised if this works.
That's why you brought them along.
Yes, you heard that right. Dorothy intends to use the counters as literal cannon fodder.
Yeah,
Something
that's why we were
easily
here.
disposable should they find themselves in a pinch fighting against Nihilister. With this, the duo regroup and establish connection with Cecil once again. Visibly irritated, Cecil chews Johan out for cutting connections with her so briefly. After a small altercation, the group continues over to their next target location. As they continue pressing onward, they realize the geothermal level is rising in their vicinity. The heat energy around them is spiking significantly. Although Anise tries some light-hearted commentary saying it could be a hot spring, Haran interjects, saying it's something more than that. They had stumbled right into Nihilister's territory. Cecil chimes in, slightly confused by Haran's statement. She's not picking up any heat signals on the scan, but she thinks that Nihilister could simply be hiding somewhere that she can't pick up, ready to ambush them at any moment. Isabel asks if she should do an aerial scan, and Dorothy gives her permission to. She also exchanges a brief text with Isabel, who simply gives a nod and takes to the sky. Suddenly, the group hears a noise from above. This isn't Isabel returning from her scan, but instead, the final confrontation had begun. Cecil comes through the comm system, saying that it's Nihilister coming in hot. Confused, the counters can't see the impending threat when suddenly, the clouds in the sky seem to split in two.
Yikes.
What looks to be a meteor comes hurling down, searing its way into the atmosphere.
Oh boy.
A deafening explosion rings through the surface around them, the mysterious object colliding with the earth below. Once the dust settles,
Damn.
a NIKKE, or rather, a monster is
Bro, with the superhero pose and everything, bro. We got a Getsuga Tensha level threat, bro.
revealed.
It's gonna be
A
crazy.
crimson dragon, bathed in flames.
Thick.
The heretic Johan and Inherit
Like
had fought
Zentreya.
before. Nihilister. Just like before, the commander is frozen with fear. The same feeling that washed over him when he first saw Marion resurfaces. That feeling of pure malice and hatred oozing from Nihilister. A feeling so strong it's palpable. According to Johan, Nihilister is one of the Queen's elite soldiers, or her royal vanguard, and an ancient relic which he should have disposed of long ago. As a brief side note, this is also the first mention of the Queen's royal guards, and if you'll recall from previous chapters, Modernia was the Queen's confidant. It does seem that every heretic has one thing in common, a shared hatred for the human race. Even the tone Nihilister spews towards Inherit screams malice and hatred. Putrid piles of filth from Eden, that is what Nihilister calls them. Cecil chimes in once more, saying that Nihilister's core is gathering strength rapidly, and Rappy begins picking up some high temperature readings around them too. The situation they're in, though dire, is simple. If they get too close to Nihilister, they'll literally melt into puddles. The commander attempts to run to avoid an incoming slash. It seems that Nihilister isn't interested in the NIKKEs or Johan, but instead, in the commander. Something about the commander catches Nihilister's attention, and it would appear that her core output is diminishing. Cecil was taken aback by this, wondering how this could be possible. Nihilister begins to make her way to the commander, swiftly bypassing his Nikkes and inherit. The commander, rightfully so, is frozen in place with just how swiftly Nihilister made her way over to him. She remarks how pleased she is that the group had brought her a gift, and with terrifying strength, she lifts the commander by his collar. Her razor-sharp tail points at the commander's stomach, and Nihilister threatens to cut it open at a moment's notice. She asks the commander if he remembers a talking rapture. Confused, the commander asks what any of this has to do with Chatterbox, and Nihilister informs him that Chatterbox was one of her favorite underlings. If you haven't clocked it by now, shit is really about to go down. As she continues to speak to the commander, her tone quickly becomes sharp and aggressive. She remarks how both the commander and those pesky pilgrims had conspired together to kill Chatterbox. Instead of seeking revenge though, Nihilister seems to flip the script. She flippantly states that she's not about to hold grudges and tells the commander that they can both benefit from this little interaction. Nihilister continues, stating that Chatterbox had mentioned something quite unique before he died. Chatterbox had told Nihilister that if she were to capture the commander and cut him open, she would find something of great interest to her. Nihilister wonders what secrets the commander holds within, and how Chatterbox could have known it's what she was searching for all along. She refers to the commander as a black box, stating Eden had brought it to her on a silver platter. This is where the real mystery surrounding the commander comes into full view in our story. If you'd recall, we don't know the history of the commander before his very first operation. We only know that he was a sickly child, and he had a rare form of blood, and an uncanny way of clearing missions with a 0% chance of survival. He, by all definitions, is an anomaly in the story of NIKKE, and now we can add the fact that he's important to the heretics. Overjoyed by this sudden revelation, Nihilister turns into her dragon form, setting the area ablaze. She takes hold of the commander and takes flight. Immediately, Johann yells for Isabel to give chase. However, Dorothy tells Isabel to wait. Yes, Dorothy is literally allowing Nihilister, you know, a heretic, to kidnap the commander and run. Surprisingly, it's Papillon who springs into action. She jumps, taking hold of Nihilister's tail with the counters following shortly after. With the counters and Papillon barely hanging on, Nihilister soars to the sky. While Inherit gazes from below, the counters, Papillon, and the commander slowly disappear from their sight. Now the fight is up to the counters. Nihilister lands at what she calls her base and transforms back into her NIKKE form. With the sudden landing, the counters and Papillon make harsh contact with the seared earth beneath them. Frantically, they search for a visual confirmation of the commander. Anise confirms that she sees the commander and he yells out to the group. Nihilister, evidently, is not too pleased with these stowaways who tagged along with her, and tells the commander to wait as she disposes of counters. To buy some time, the commander asks Nihilister what her offer was. Her response is plain and simple. Her offer was a choice, to spare his life or those of his Nikkes. She remarks that she could just kill them all, but there's no fun in that. Nihilister states that fires are very hard to control, and picking who lives or dies is exhausting to her, so she let the commander choose instead. The counters are raring to go to engage in battle with Nihilister. She taunts the group, stating that if she played with them, she'd lose her precious black box in the process, which is something that Nihilister wouldn't want in the end. Instead of dirtying her own hands, Nihilister lets her beauties engage in battle instead. With this, Rappy makes visual contact with 50 raptures, but the number is only growing. Countless raptures are incoming and swiftly the group engages in battle. Surprisingly, the counters are able to dispatch her raptures. Upon attempting to get close to the commander, Nihilister blocks her path. She decides to burn everything down, going full nuclear in this encounter. Once more, she begins to transform into her dragon form, and seeing an opening, the commander rushes towards counters. Nihilister is rigging her dragon breath to fire off as the group scrambles for cover. They hurl themselves behind a nearby wall as scorching flames envelop the surrounding area. The cover counters is hiding behind starts to melt, and it's only a matter of time before it's completely destroyed. While this fight ensues, the angle shifts back to Inherit and Johan. Seeing the fire from afar, Isabel alerts the rest of the team. Johan tells them their main objective is to link up with counters. The group is ready to mobilize and head in to back them up. Evidently, the situation has become dire, and the counters need assistance to get out of this battle unscathed. Despite Johan's orders, Dorothy tells him to wait, asking if rushing in is necessary. At this point, I get it, Dorothy. You want the counters to die. She thinks Nihilister can tire herself out while fighting against counters, and using that opportunity, they can take her down once and for all. Johan decides to take the opinion of everyone else and Inherit on this choice. Haran states that getting to Eden wasn't easy, and that she's ready to do anything to protect it, even laying down her life in the process. Noah is tired of waiting around and states how they're not weaklings like the counters are, and Isabel is simply willing to go along with whatever Johan decides. With this, the plan seems simple: move forward and aid the counters. However, once more, Dorothy interjects. Dorothy, now with an evil smirk across her face, states how unbelievable the situation is. She jokingly adds how all of them must have gone into the Ark and have Nymph implanted into them. She also adds that she brought the counters along to take the brunt of the attack. That was her whole plan from the start. She did all of this to ensure Inherit's safety. Now filled with anger, Dorothy tells them they don't understand what the real threat of the situation is. Even if Nihilister is defeated, it is far from over. The Queen still has many subordinates under her command, ones that dwarf Nihilister in terms of power. To the Queen and her underlings, Eden is nothing but a pesky thorn in their side, one that could be destroyed at any moment. To Dorothy, Eden is her paradise, the one she so desperately sought in Overzone. This is her reason for being, her home, the final thing she can cling on to since humanity abandoned her so many decades ago. Even if it meant sacrificing the counters, Dorothy wanted to do it to ensure Eden can thrive for another day. Haran then chimes in, telling Dorothy that they are all usually happy to do whatever she says, but that was due to the fact that she never forced them to cross the line. Isabel also throws her hat into the ring, saying if she met someone like the commander sooner, she would have stayed in the Ark over residing in Eden. The mere mention of the Ark causes Dorothy to snap.
The Ark. The
Here
Ark.
we go. Here we go.
I'm glad you brought it up.
Let's hear
Don't
it.
you all despise the Ark? Detest everything about it? Especially you, Commander. You were the most vehement of anyone. After all you've done for that place, what has it ever done to thank you?
Oh boy.
Fine then. Join up with the commander from the Ark. It won't tarnish Eden's reputation in the slightest.
Reputation, bro.
I
Nobody's
used to
alive.
think like that too. But
Bruh.
meeting you made me realize something.
Yeah,
What I hated was not the Ark,
it's the people.
or the
in it.
people in it.
Oh,
It was the abhorrent rhetoric you were spewing earlier today.
You've all gone insane.
nah.
Let's go.
If everybody else is insane.
With this exchange over
Then
and
you're
Dorothy's
really the
plan
insane
falling
one.
to shambles, Inherit and Johan move out to aid the counters.
go.
Evidently, Nihilister is having fun toying with the counters. They constantly are ducking and weaving from cover to cover, careful not to get melted by Nihilister's fire breath. She taunts them to come out and face her, promising to make their death quick as she continues her aerial assault. By this point, the counters have taken extensive damage and are not going to hold out much longer. The commander feels like it's time for them to use their ace in the hole, but Neon voices her opinion against it. It would defeat the entire purpose of their mission. And for once, Anise tries to be a beacon of hope for the commander, saying that they just need to hold out and maybe Johan and his team will come as backup. Anise then asks the commander if any of the battle simulations conducted with Johan would help in this situation, to which the commander affirms. With this, the counters, once more, gather their bearings and go for broke against Nihilister. Not only is Nihilister powerful, but she's also quite durable. The counters, despite their best efforts, can do no more than cause Nihilister a little pain. At this point, the commander has no other choice but to use Vophaus. After a brief moment of deliberation, to Nihilister's surprise, the commander lowers his gun. The commander walks towards a puzzled Nihilister. He notices a bomb planted near her feet, and in a desperate attempt, he thinks he could save everyone else if he reaches it. But before any of that can happen, a familiar voice calls out to him.
You fool. You'll kill us all.
Mr. Chaos.
Consider this a valuable lesson. How can you expect to save someone else?
You can't even save yourself.
You can't even save yourself.
With backup having arrived, Johann shoots Nihilister. To her shock, she begins convulsing, then maniacally laughing shortly after. Johann proceeds to unload round after round into Nihilister, who now believes that he's also fully lost it. This time though, Nihilister is beginning to feel the pain of the shots, and she is not regenerating as swiftly as before. Wasting no time and seeing an opening, Johann tells his team to give her all you've got. Inherit proceeds to release a barrage of attacks on Nihilister. Puzzled, Johann explains to the commander that this was all his gamble. Vaphaus wasn't the first bullet he shot, directly contradicting what he had told the commander before. He then apologizes to the commander for deceiving him, but it was something that had to be done should the commander have acted out of fear. Johann helps the commander to get to his feet, and gathering their bearings, the counters muster the last of their strength and decide to join the fray against Nihilister, supporting the barrage Inherit was unleashing upon her. As the battle shifts in the favor of Inherit and counters, Haran puts her sight to Nihilister. In a panic, Nihilister says that she can kill and fight for them. She can still be of use to them. Haran has no intention to listen.
Absolutely
However,
not. No.
it's Dorothy who steps in and tells Haran to stand down.
Oh, boy,
she states that they'll
go.
hear Nihilister out. Dorothy's question to Nihilister is simple. She asks how she can take down the Queen.
I have a plan.
Oh yeah?
One
Let
that
me
I've
hear
been
it.
planning for a long time.
Oh yeah?
Perhaps you've heard of Lilith's body.
Bro, the biblical themes in this game are definitely insane. So for the people that don't know, Lilith is supposedly Adam's first wife, and she was cast out of the Garden of Eden before Eve was even created.
The Queen's predecessor, and the only thing she neglected to take care of during her time on the surface.
The Queen's predecessor. Is the Queen named Eve?
If Lilith's body can be found, I will be able to kill the Queen!
Predecessor. That word, to this day, has stuck with me. Predecessor is defined as a person who held the title before the current holder. This means, essentially, Lilith was affiliated with the Queen in some way long ago. If you played through Red Ash, this could mean several things. Predecessor in this sense sticks out with me for one thing in particular. If you recall, Lilyweiss, or Lilith, was not the first NIKKE, but she was the first successful iteration of NIKKE during the Rapture invasion. There was one NIKKE before her, one whose body wasn't able to handle the conversion or power that Lilyweiss currently possessed. Through the Lost Relics in Red Ash, we get a glimpse through Lilyweiss of who this person was. All we know is she is no longer with us, and that her body was discarded, spread across the land. Despite this though, there remains a grave that the legendary commander and Lilyweiss visit from time to time, and the notion of her spreading across the land could either be literal or metaphorical. This would make sense since she's technically before Lilyweiss' time, making the predecessor comment hold more weight in this scenario. As we know from White Memory, the head of Lilyweiss was taken, and who's to say a compatible brain wasn't put on the original NIKKE's body. Nihilister states that if Lilith's body is found, she'll be able to kill the Queen. However, there is only one problem with this scenario. Recalling White Memory once more, in the hidden ending, we learn that Snow White underwent her final mind switch that we're aware of. In doing so, it is entirely unknown if any of the members of Goddess know where Lilyweiss' grave is.
It's gone. Why? How can this be happening? Her face is gone. Only her body is left. No one will remember her this way. I haven't achieved anything yet. I haven't accomplished anything she expected of me. Will her story really end so meaninglessly? No way.
No way.
I refuse to accept this. This can't happen to her. Not to Lilyweiss.
The only person that could possibly still remember is either Dorothy or Rapunzel. However, that information remains unknown. Snow White and Scarlet both have not remembered the location due to encountering mind switches in their time on the surface. Revealing this information, Nihilister begs the group to get Vophouse out of her. Before anyone can act though, a foreign voice interjects, displeased with Nihilister's actions.
Get the Vophouse out of me!
Damn.
Silence. Your loose tongue will be your undoing.
Who is this? A mysterious figure materializes as in I can barely read it, without a sound, yet with a presence so oppressive that everyone can sense it. The figure takes the fallen Nihilister and begins to lead.
Commander, should we attack?
Hey, we definitely got to do something.
No.
Bro. We can't just sit there. Oh, okay.
What you're seeing is just the tip of the iceberg.
Word.
This is one opponent we don't stand a chance against.
Oh, okay.
A wise decision. I suggest you lay low and tread softly. The next time you awaken me, this Eden of yours will become your tomb.
Damn.
With this, we are introduced to Liberaglio, a heretic far stronger than
Bro, this lolly is gonna erase everything. That's crazy.
Nihilister. One with such strength
The
that she
strongest
can
of
threaten
all
not
lollies.
just Nihilister's life, but the life of everyone in Eden too. It is also incredibly important to note that not even Johan wanted to engage Liberaglio, knowing they would lose even if they gave it their all. Liberaglio is still a character that we know very little about. Though she seems very tranquil and surreal, I think that's what offsets me the most about her. With this ominous encounter, and their mission deemed as a success, the group makes their way back to Eden. Upon arriving back to Eden, the commander can't help but feel a sense of unease. Though the group made it out in one piece, he had failed the initial mission. Not only was Nihilister still roaming the surface, but he also had wasted the Vophouse that they had spent so long searching for. Cecil enters the room and intends to reveal yet another shocking revelation in the story. Though she's aware that the commander is in no mood to listen to her, she tells him that something Nihilister had said had caught her interest. The fact that Nihilister was after something within the commander. Cecil has a hunch as to what it is. However, she doesn't want to go to such extremes as cutting him open to verify her suspicions. Cecil's solution is a simple health exam in the form of an hour of the commander's time. A few injections, drawing blood, taking photos, things of that nature. The commander eventually agrees and the tests begin. Upon finalizing the results of her examination, Cecil asks if the commander's blood type was ever saved in the ARC's database. If you'd recall, it wasn't. This being the reason Mary and Pepper fell into a panic when attempting to conduct a blood transfusion on him earlier. The ominous warning from Anderson is also brought to light in this scenario too, stating that the commander's blood type, if revealed to the ARC, could cause him to become a target. Yet another important piece of information is revealed. If you haven't clocked it by now, Cecil is one of the brightest minds to ever work under the ARC at one point in time. She's extremely sharp, efficient, and most of all, observant. She understands the inner workings of the central government, because at one point in time, that was who she answered to. Being an ex-researcher from the ARC, she's all too familiar with the secrecy which surrounds the society keeping humanity locked underground. According to Cecil, keeping the health examinations and the blood type of the commander secret is no easy feat. As we've stated previously, the ARC has eyes and ears everywhere, silently keeping tabs and collecting data. Whoever is acting to keep the commander's credentials a secret, according to Cecil, must care deeply about him. This is where our deputy chief comes into play once more.
Like
From the
JC
very
Fenton.
start of this game, there is one person who's taken extra care to ensure the commander's safety, and the only one who shares this rare blood type with him. This being Anderson.
Damn right.
Cecil congratulates the commander, albeit in the
Mr.
most backhanded
Anderson.
way that she can. She tells him that he has been blessed, or rather cursed, with the RHX blood type. Yet another bomb is dropped on the players, and that is the reason behind this blood type being so sought after. RHX, as a research note suggested in Chapter 19, is used to synthesize Vophouse. Remember the words of Snow White in Chapter 17? Her warning that once the commander learns how to synthesize Vophouse that the raptures would be the least of his worries? Well, it seems like that has all come to fruition. The commander has uncovered the secret to creating it, and Cecil just so happens to know how to do exactly that. Cecil also appears to have the commander's back too, whether it be pure or of malicious intent. She states that she'll destroy the findings of this lab result. No one can know that the commander is a holder of RHX, and that includes his NIKKEs and Papillon. Cecil's next observation only makes the looming mystery surrounding her deepen. She's aware that Papillon isn't working for the same deputy chief as the commando unit, and thus urges him to never disclose this information of his test results. If he did, he'd become a lab rat for the central government. The commander is aware that Papillon will pull this kind of stunt to climb the corporate ladder, so he takes heed to Cecil's warning. Interrupting their conversation, Johan enters the room and asks the commander what his next course of action may be. Although the commander is unsure, Johan states that he could reside in Eden. In his own way, Johan also congratulates the commander for their actions since arriving there.
I could turn you into a proper commander.
Good training.
Don't believe me? Maybe nobody remembers this anymore. But I was once considered something of a rising star by the media.
Following this, we also get a brief look at Johan's past, and just like the commander, he also, at one point, was an up-and-coming star in the Ark. Interestingly enough, just like many events foreshadowed in this game, a brief history of Johan's success in the Ark can be found in the Lost Relics. Found in Chapter 19 and Chapter 20 of the story's Relics, we uncover scraps of daily news articles outlining the rise and fall of Johan. To keep things brief, Johan
Let me read that again. Nearly, wait, where was it?
Outlining the rise.
However, July saw an army experience devastating casualties. Nearly 80% of troops were wiped out, putting the fate of the campaign. Holy crap.
And fall of Johan. To keep things brief, Johan was also known as New Hope, and leaded the second reclamation period of the Ark. This basically was another act to try and reclaim areas of the surface for humanity. Eventually, though, his fame turned to scrutiny, as an incident involving raptors invading the Ark happened during his time. Johan, subsequently, was blamed for all of this happening and the deaths of the civilians, NIKKEs, and commanders that followed suit. He was then imprisoned in the Ark's rehabilitation center, only to be deemed as shot and killed in an escape attempt. Although Johan was written off dead by the central government, that's merely one more lie that we can chalk up to them telling the public. Their new hope, one which they casted aside, and most likely was framed and imprisoned for crimes he didn't commit, was still alive, and now residing in Eden. This also puts into question just how old Johan and Cecil are, and how they're able to live on the surface without eventually succumbing to their mortality. Then again, Anderson is suspected to be the legendary commander, and that man is older than them both. That is, if Cecil isn't one of the original Elysian researchers from Red Ash. But that's a topic for another video. We then are met with Papillon relaying information of Eden to the Ark, only to be caught by Dorothy red-handed. Instead of simply disposing Papillon, Dorothy suggests an alternative solution. Papillon can only communicate with the Ark if Dorothy permits it. Actively, this makes Papillon a hostage, and such trivial matters as her relation to Chief Birmingham don't scare Dorothy in the slightest. Once more, the prey has fallen into the spider's web, right into Dorothy's plans. Finally, wrapping up this chapter, we are met with Nihilister and Liberaglio once more. While Nihilister is clearly infuriated with the results of her earlier fight, Liberaglio is more irritated with Nihilister's actions.
Curse those bloodsuckers! That's it! I won't be able to calm down until I wipe out their entire base!
Be quiet, Nihilister. You already forced me to appear once. Are you trying to disrupt my slumber once again? Compose yourself before I put you to sleep permanently.
Damn.
You'd really kill me.
Yes. The Queen does not permit internal strife between her vanguards. You've bungled this job badly. This Queen is very disappointed with you. If you intend to regain the trust which you have lost, you must wipe out that place on the surface they call Eden. Should you fail, We'll bury you long before those humans ever have a chance to.
Wow.
Don't you threaten me! I'll burn you to a crisp before you ever make a move!
That reminds me. Before I arrived, you were running your mouth about something. Remind me what it was again. Something about Lilith, wasn't it? If the Queen were to get wind of this...
Uh-oh.
Oh, you mean that? I was only bluffing. I was merely buying time so you would finally mosey along, slowpoke. If anything, the Queen would praise me for my ingenuity.
Yeah, okay.
Whatever happens,
Stop the cap.
your actions going forward will determine what you truly meant by those words.
True.
The Queen is always watching. Never forget.
All I care about is burning those cockroaches to the ground.
With this ominous exchange, the scene fades out, ending the chapter off,
Interesting.
leaving the viewers with more questions than answers.
For real.
If we've learned anything from these chapters, it's the fact that once more, the central government cannot be trusted,
Of course.
and the Ark is a prison rather than an oasis.
100%.
Did you enjoy these two chapters, and what was your favorite
I
part?
can't believe that's
Be
only
sure to let
2
me know in the
chapters,
comment
though.
sections down below.
It's like 4
Thank
or
you all
5.
for joining me, and I will see you all in the next video.
Alright.
Jane.
Chapter 19 and 20, bro. Absolutely wild, wild ride. So, I enjoyed that. Definitely, that was like a movie length of NIKKE, man. But it was definitely worth it. It was really good. We got a lot of progress. We got to see Eden. We got to meet some new NIKKEs. We got to meet Johan. We fought another what are they called? What's the strong the strong ones called? I can't remember what they're called. But we fought the dragon, okay? The dragon got away with the jellyfish lolly. And we found out that the commander is, of course, the one, right? He is the Neo. He is the Adam Jensen, the JC Denton of this universe, which I mean, of course, right? Uh, it's very, very interesting. It's turning into a lot of like Deus Ex. Like if you guys have ever played that series, it's turning out to be like one of those. I'm interested to see like how they do it though. Hopefully it's not too cliche. Like the biblical references are all over the place, which is totally fine. But I just don't want it to be another like retelling of the Bible. So I'm excited to see actually what do they do, right? They have Lilith. They've talked about the Garden of, or well, not the Garden of Eden, but they showed Eden. They showed Dorothy. They show other pilgrims. So where will they take it next? I'm also interested in Cecil because it's like this person was able to create something way better than the like 50 times better than the Ark, right? Like, bro, she got to be like some type of mad genius. But yeah, and then like Johan having cybernetics, that'd be nice if our commander could get some cybernetics. That would make the playing field a little bit more even on our end. And yeah, I am actually pretty interested to see what happens next. This was really great. I'm glad I started doing these reactions. How long has it been, bro? Like we've been watching NIKKE's story for I feel like it's been almost a year we've been watching this. Like maybe 8 months or something like that. That's what it feels like. So yeah, let me know in the comments below when you actually started seeing these NIKKE reactions. Like what episode did you start on? Because if you started from episode 1, hey, boom, pound one out for your boy. Pause. But yeah. This was great. This is a great video. Anyways, thank you guys for watching the reaction. This was dope. I cannot wait to see more. I will see more pretty soon. Let's say 3 to 5 days from now, we should be able to watch another episode. Well, depending on the length, because I'm pretty sure the next episode's not an hour long, right? If it's like around 30 minutes like the other ones, we could probably get to it sooner than later. But yeah, it's your boy KhunShawn signing out. Peace.